Should be recording now. Thank you for the reminder.
Great. What do you say? We get started in a minute or two. We have 120 folks on the line.
It's only 4:02. Wow, people are actually on time for once.
It will
I
never
guess-
happen again.
I know, it is the first class of the semester, so we kind of get that going for us. Chat.
Bill is saying his webcam and are not working. So he's trying to fix that right now. He's got a bunch of slides. I can fill in his slides if he can't get that.
You know, for somebody who likes to present, he sure has a lot of problems. Almost sounds like he's making them up.
Probably is.
Yeah, the CAD.
In the meantime, while we wait for that, I'm just looking at the chat. I saw some people said they were not registered for RCOS, and that's not a problem at all. That's one of the ways to participate. You can just do it for experience and not register for the class, which means everything is the same for you, except you just don't have to, or rather, we can't force you to hand things in or stick up with the attendance, stay up to date with attendance and stuff like that. That's no problem. Lots of people who do RCOS for their first time don't register for it, but just do it for experience. And then if they like it, which they always do, of course, they register for it for every single semester afterwards. Always. Always.
What did you end up deciding to name him?
Well, I don't know his whole name because it's way too long for me to remember. But it's Louis Van Habsburg Dog Turner, I guess. That's at least the first part. Or Llewellyn, that's it. But we call
Is
him.
that a Portuguese water dog?
No, it's a Aussie Doodle. So it's part
Oh,
Australian Shepherd, part poodle.
sorry to interrupt that.
No, that's absolutely fine. He's just not quite big enough. Hopefully, he's not big enough for a Portuguese water dog.
Yeah, we got ours thinking that she was a golden doodle, but she's black and has a mustache. Turns out there's no poodle.
No poodle.
Like a Shih Tzu. They're Shih Tzu miniature schnauzer, Pomeranian mix. Pomeranian is one half, and then the other half is purebred golden retriever.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
quite the mix.
Yeah, we think they were going for smaller golden doodle, but they also could have been going for a Shih Tzu golden retriever mix, which is also really cute.
Yeah. This was small enough that my wife agreed to it, and big enough that it seemed like it was actually worth having. That, of course, is my summary, not theirs. He is driving us nuts right now, but it's a good nuts.
Seems like a lot of energy with the Australian Shepherd.
That's exactly what's going on. And it's like 5 degrees out, so most of the running is in the living room.
I've heard people who have huskies and they just sit on a longboard when it's snowing and have their huskies run them around.
That would not be a bad thought. All right, what are we at, guys?
Bill is here.
Bill is here.
He is, Bill's here. I don't know
So
what to say. Right?
destroyed.
What he's wearing, but he's here. Bill.
I'm here, yes.
Oh,
It looks like he's just being COVID safe.
The mask is supposed to go over your mouth and nose, though, not your eyes.
Yeah, it's the exact COVID safe.
It's the new face shield.
Okay. I think then we have 134. That's great.
Dark video. Oh, look, it's me. Hi.
Hey, there we go. We see you. Shall we get ready, Professor? Are we good to go? Or recording, you said?
I think we're good to go. We're recording. I'm looking to see whether there's any questions that you guys didn't answer. I'm going to give up because there was a lot of comments.
I think I caught all the questions.
Okay,
Yes.
good.
A lot are about Bill and
All right,
Orzo.
let's kick it off then.
Okay. Well, next slide, please. Welcome back to RCOS, everyone. It's a pleasure to see everyone. Yes, virtually, but maybe not for the whole semester. So these first few meetings we're going to be holding virtually, same place, same time, Tuesdays and Fridays at 4 in Professor Turner's WebEx, just like today. Things go well, we will be in person, and we'll have more information, obviously, where that is and so on as we get closer to that part of the semester. But we want to welcome you all back, those who have been with us for a while, and those who are newly here, those who are registered for the class, and those who are not. So today we're going to get through kind of an overview of RCOS and how to get started. Next slide, please.
Man, this is awful quality, by the way.
Our mission. This is pulled straight from our handbook, which if you haven't seen yet, I'm sure we push it a bunch of times in these slides. So RCOS's mission is to cultivate an inclusive, creative, and entrepreneurial community that seeks to empower students to develop open source solutions to real-world problems. Big focus here being open source solutions, real-world problems, and kind of the fact that we are a community. We are a course, but we're also kind of a club, or an organization that's kind of a weird hybrid. But I think community is probably the best word that describes us. We just get the extra benefit, the bonus of being able to take this for course credit. Next slide. So kind of to, in layman's terms, what is RCOS? We're just a community of students who are motivated. We develop open source projects under the guidance of experienced student mentors and coordinators and faculty advisors. So not only is this a venue for kind of just open learning, it's also a great opportunity for student teaching, whether it be project leads or mentors and so on. It's also great for just exploring the world of open source. In this class / course club / community, you get to explore the things that you might be interested in that you wouldn't otherwise explore in your courses. Maybe CS major and you do a lot of theory, but you want to learn how to, maybe do a little bit of web development. That's RCOS. Or maybe you're an engineer and you want to learn some sort of programming. That's RCOS. It's really, really, really open-ended, being just open source. That's really the only requirement. Next slide. So if you haven't been sold on RCOS already, I mean, most of you are that you're here, but just again, you get a lot of great experience being here. Huge benefit, which many RCOS alum and current RCOS members can great leadership opportunities like being a mentor and allowing RCOS to function and run. And you receive course credit if you want for your work. Okay, it is it is as good as it sounds. Slide, please. We'll touch on something that I think in the past we haven't touched on enough, which is we always say open source, open source, open source, but what is open source? Well, we pull this definition straight from the Open Source Initiative, the organization that defines open source. They've written the open source definition, and they say generally it's software that can be freely accessed, used, changed, and shared by anyone, to put it simply. And a way that you specify that is you say that your code is licensed under a particular open source license that the Open Source Initiative has approved of, right? What it really means is we're not writing code that's private just for us and our team to look at. We're writing code for the greater community that anyone can look at, copy, make their own version. That's what we mean when we say open source. This is straight from the Open Source Initiative, and this is really kind of the guiding principle of everything we do at RCOS. Everything is open. We're not keeping anything private. Next slide, please. And on that note, we're proud that RCOS itself is an affiliate member of the OSI. So this is just a group of a bunch of organizations. You think of like Mozilla and other really big organizations like that, that support the mission and the goals of the Open Source Initiative and are involved in that way in supporting the movement. We're pretty proud of that association. Now I'll hand it off to Professor Turner to talk a little bit about the history of RCOS.
So this is kind of the snapshot history of RCOS. I promised Frank that I would work on this more for the handbook and put in some more slides, but I did get some stuff done over the last couple of days that kind of extend it. So back in 2006, one of our alumnus, Sean O'Sullivan, I think he was pretty close to my year, actually, graduating, donated $2 million to kick off RCOS. And in 2007, you know, in the early days, we were a couple of students, you know, under a dozen students working under the directorship of Frank Luck and Professor Krishnamurthy, et cetera. And most of it was a paid kind of gig. They would pay people to work on open source and develop open source solutions. In 2007, the open source software course, which a lot of you from the names I'm seeing are actually in right now. Boy, that is awful. Awful video. I'm sorry about that, guys. I don't know if that's my problem or not. Anyway, started being developed. That was developed along with Kitware, a local company that does open source software. You'll hear me talk about them a lot because before I came here, at some point, I worked with them for almost a decade. And that course is something that's taught to kind of introduce people to more of the mechanics of open source and, you know, different open source tools and tool sets and ways of running projects, you know, ways of interacting, reasons for ways of interacting, all sorts of different stuff. We try to look at a couple of open source projects every year, including TensorFlow or some database application. It's been Mongo the last few years, but we need to find a replacement for that, etc. Anyway, it started off, Frank Luck, who was the head of the department at that time, I believe, was the director. In 2007, they brought in Badri Roysam from electrical engineering department and Professor Krishnamurthy. You can see that Krishnamurthy went on from there through pretty much 2018 when he finally retired and got to leave RPI for a little bit. But you know, through that time, Professor Goldschmidt has been helping. I got appointed in 2016 when I started here to help run it, and then, you know, at this point I'm the director. Once Professor Murthy decided that he had done all he could for us, I became the director, and David is the assistant director. So that's kind of the leadership from the faculty point of view. I'm hoping that we can pull out leadership from the student point of view as well, but you never know what you're going to need or what you're going to forget as you go forward in time. So we're still trying to piece out if we have those early years. We certainly have the years since 2016 if we need that. Anyway, along the way, along those 10, 12 years, we got rid of most of the, I think basically through 2016, most of Sean's money was gone. We were looking for another way to operate. So we approached Red Hat. Red Hat put some money into our open source software course and gave us a yearly kind of funding stipend for about 5 years that helped us while we kind of transitioned from this largely pay operation to the course credit operation that we are largely today. So that was really good. We still have a little bit of funds. We still do open a few positions per year up to engineers, particularly engineers working in projects that we're trying to, or engineers being you guys, projects that we need to have continued critical infrastructure, interesting partnerships, etc. We'll be putting out a call once project pairing is done for people who want to be subsidized to work on projects. You can't do credit and for pay at the same time, and we don't have $2 million anymore. So we can only do a few projects every semester, but we will be making that up. We will be, putting out the call for that fairly soon. But right now we are right around 2020. We kind of got rid of most of the pay thing. Just a few, like I said, a few positions every year, and now we kind of fully credit experience system since about 2020. So it doesn't mean we don't have anything. If you have a need. If you want to work on a critical project, fill out the form. If you have a need for bill of materials or something, as long as it's not too high, we may have it in stock and we may be able to get it. Yeah, that's kind of the history as I know it. The cool thing, though, is that we've been running since 2006. So we are now 10 years old in Hex. So, I think the next couple of slides are mine as well. This is kind of how we've grown. You can see back in the fall of 2007, we had a couple of students, 2008, and then somewhere around the fall of 2008, things started to increase, and we're seeing actual class sizes of around 50 people. And now our typical class size is right around 150 people, although we've been as high as 240 something in the fall of 2019. These little low peaks, those are summer. You can see that they're becoming progressively higher as we kind of moved into Summer Arch. This is kind of our cumulative projects. As of right now, we have had, and by the way, this double counts. If you run the same project in 2 semesters or you're in RCOS for more than 1 semester, you're double counted in here or triple counted. But looking at the number of students we've had each semester, we've cumulatively had about 35 or 3651 according to my count students and 1,160 projects, all of them wonderful. After this semester, it looks like we'll have another almost 3,800 students and probably close to 1,200 projects if things hold the way they've been breaking. Bill?
Yes. So before I proceed to the notable project section, as some of the keen-eyed may have pointed out, I am wearing a helmet and goggles.
We thought that
This is
was
quite a change of pace compared to our usual fare of masks. As you can see, my eyes are covered and my nose and my mouth are not. I do prefer sometimes switching it up, as you would say. I also need the goggles. I also need the goggles because Frank's presentation of the initial slides made my eyes dry out. So I do require some additional protection. All right, let us continue. So here are some of the notable projects that have been created in the past few semesters. All right, so first is YACS. More of the younger generations may not have heard of this. but I think all of the sophomores, juniors, and seniors have. It is a course scheduler, as you can see, and they are working on very many expansions. Yes, an alternative that the freshmen may have heard of is Quacks. There is quite a bit of competition against these two projects. And while this has been around longer, so there is more respect there. But yes, both are very nice course schedulers. I recommend checking either one out as they do similar things, but they're quite different in how they are built. But yeah, this is Yex. Next slide, please. Yes, so for all of the uninitiated, this is hell for the next 4 years. Sorry, I meant submittee. Yeah, so so all of your homeworks, this will basically go on here and not get looked at by human eyes. And that's how you get graded. Lovely. Unfortunately, we have to resort to these sorts of methods due to large class sizes. But it is what it is. On a more serious note, Submiti has a lot more great functionality, including a ripoff of Piazza. And there's a quite great email notification system as well. And you can also see your grades. And they get rainbowified relative to everyone else in the class. So isn't that fun? Yeah, and you also get assignments and other notifications posted on here as well. It's actually a very nice project. It's ran by Professor Cutler, and their team is slightly external to RCOS, but they still we still consider them under our umbrella, and they're a very strong project running for I don't know how many years now, but it's been a while. And they are actually, alongside YACS, expanding to other universities as well. Next slide, please. Shuttle track. I have to address some of the points in the chat. Not much of a rainbow if it's only red. Well, you can disregard your own grades. The rainbow shows up at the top. So that's the only rainbow that you need to worry about. Yeah, you're the other grades not so much. Doesn't really. Okay, shuttle tracker. Yes, the new shuttle tracker. How many news is there?
3 news there.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Well,
It's 3 news. All right.
It's sort of. It's the third major. It's the new version of the new shuttle tracker.
So it's 4 news.
Well, 3.5.
3. Okay.
Rounding that up
3.5.
to 4.
What?
Well,
Let's round that up to 4.
There's it's 3.5. Yes, if anyone wants offline, I can explain. If anyone wants to come join the shuttle tracker team, I'm happy to explain exactly how it's 3.5 news.
Yes. All right. So shuttle tracker, if you have taken the shuttle at RPI, it's not contrary to the actual shuttles. Shuttle tracker is a very reliable service. Yeah. I have used shuttle tracker quite a few times, even though I personally do not take the shuttles. I just like checking to see if it works. And you can see in the Discord that Gabriel has been very actively recruiting for this project. And I think this is like he said, the 3.5 iteration of Shuttle Tracker now. It is a great project to work on. They have very many divisions. They have an iOS division, Android division, the web division, et cetera, et cetera. I think there's also a backend division as well. I personally recommend adding a tracking division to figure out how to stick air tags onto the shuttles themselves. But Gabriel shut that division down. Unfortunately.
We're considering. We're considering. It would have to be
Yes.
a little unofficial. Sneak them into the seat cushions. But
That part is not quite open source. But anyway, on to the next project. Yes, open circuits. So Professor Kuzman has been using this in his Compor class, and you cannot believe how many issues he has opened since the beginning of the semester, since the beginning of last semester. I could probably not count them on all of my fingers and toes. Yes. I think Professor Kuzman has opened more issues on open circuits than there are people on open circuits last semester. So that is quite impressive because open circuits had, I think, almost more than 20 people last semester, which was a great feat by Leon for managing that project. How many toes do I have? I have 11 toes, but that still does not make up for the fact that Professor Kuzman opened way too many issues. All right. Yes. But yes, it's a web app for creating and testing circuit designs. So stuff that you will probably never use in RCOS, unless you're on open circuits. Then congratulations, you're an EE major. On to the next project. Oh, yes. Sorry, this is Alice's slide.
Ah, my slide, yes. Who runs RCOS? That's the biggest question. You guys have noticed there are all these students with their cameras on and some of them wearing silly things. Who the heck are they? You'll get introduced to all of us in a moment. I think we're ready for the slides after these.
So this kind of plays off of Alice's seeing all the students and things. There isn't at the core, RCOS is an open source organization. We set up things. We try to teach you things. We try to get you working on projects. But what RCOS is depends awfully a lot on what you guys do. So we need you participating. Every semester, there is no set coursework that happens. It is whatever you guys decide to make of it. So to a large extent, nobody runs RCOS. But I will start off by saying I am the faculty advisor. I did not write the caption, just so you know. I've been with RPI about 6 years in my most recent stint, but I can claim to have been at RCOS at least 1 year in every decade since the 80s, with lots of time in between. At RPI, sorry, did I say RCOS? Anyway, so I've worked in open source earlier in my career, and I just left it to come here and bother you kids. So we will see how that goes for another 6 years, maybe. I wanted to introduce Professor Kuzman. Professor Kuzman is with us most falls now, but he is not officially with us this semester. That said, he is a sometimes faculty advisor, and he intends to be involved with us this semester. So if you have questions and you can't hit anybody else up with the question, and you see him walking around, please talk to him. He plans to come to our meetings and hang out and continue to interact with us. He just doesn't have an official capacity. That means that anything we can convince him to do, he is welcome to do. So we need to be nice to him, but we can't ask him. Please don't feel. Most of you should know Professor Kuzman. He's taught a lot of the big courses. So, if you run into him, say hi, tell him what you're working on, and give him something to do if you have it. And then we also have Professor Goldschmidt. David, you're not here today, are you? Okay, so Professor Goldschmidt is the executive officer of the department, and I didn't really give him enough time to react, but I don't think he's here. He's the executive officer of the CS department. He's also the assistant director for RCOS. If you have any issues around getting signed up for credits, or you didn't get signed up for credits, or you have to add or drop late, we will probably farm it out to Professor Goldschmidt. He handles most of our administrative stuff. He's a really good guy to know. Periodically, he runs a project on RCOS, and it is invariably one of the bigger, most highly attended projects. But those are the faculty that you guys should be aware of.
Oh,
I'll leave it to
yes.
Frank now.
So now we'll go through the student coordinators. Thank you.
Happy
whichever
birthday, Frank.
coordinator- Thank you. Yes. So today happens to be my birthday. I wish I was able to see everyone kind of in person on this very special day, but oh, no, of course not the chat. Thank you everyone in the chat. So I've been the coordinator for ever since the end of my very first semester in RCOS in my very first semester of RPI. So I've been on and off project lead for the longest time. Some of you may know all the promises I made with my project and then disappeared. You know how it is, it's open source projects. What are you gonna do? But I've been a mentor for a long time as well. So I've been here for a long time. I've seen RCOS in a couple different shapes and forms, in person, remote. So please reach out to me when you have any questions. I'm into web development, full stack development. I like to do a lot of different things. So definitely reach out to me with questions. And at the very least, I could always point you towards the right people or towards the right resources. And you can reach me at those contact details at the bottom. That's me.
Alrighty, hello everyone. I am Hunter. If you are familiar with RCOS at all, you might have seen me around. I am the Quality project manager and developer. Well, not only developer, one of the developers. I'm a fan of software development, technology, sysman, and open source. I've also been in RCOS for a long time now. It's my 8th semester, which is kind of hard to believe, as well as my 4th semester coordinating. And you can reach me at the email or Discord below.
Hi, I'm Kate. This is my 6th-ish semester coordinating. I'm not actually sure. I've lost count. I am a very enthused and passionate about the Rust language. So I'm going to be pushing for people to do projects in Rust so that we can have more Rust projects. And yeah, Ferris the crab indeed. My contact info was down there, so I'm not sure if you can even read it because my quality is actually terrible right now.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. This
Bonus points for Rust projects? Yeah, maybe.
cool.
So as opposed to Frank's introductory slide, it is not my birthday today, which is quite unfortunate. Anyway, so this is my 6th semester at ARC. Yes, happy unbirthday. Thank you. Appreciate that. So this is my 6th semester in RCOS and my 2nd semester as coordinator. And you can find my contact details down there. Earlier, I tried to introduce some humor into these RCOS large group presentations because oftentimes we end up stuck in this endless cycle of very dry presentations, including Frank's. But all jokes aside, I think Frank is a great presenter. He gets his point across very often. So it's just sometimes I like to make fun of him. Yes, very good. Unhappy bird. Yes, very good. All right, on to the next.
Hello, everyone. I'm Alice. I've been in RCOS for 4 semesters now. It feels like it has been almost no time because all of them have been online, I guess. It's my first semester as a coordinator, so as it says, I only kind of know what's going on, but otherwise, RCOS-wise, I've been a mentor for a while. I actually know a little bit about Git now, so you can feel free to hit me up at that email or the Discord tag. Don't make fun of me for my Discord tag. It was made in irony when I was a freshman and didn't know that Discord is going to be used for literally everything at RPI. But so I'm on the Discord and I have an email if you ever have any questions. Ooh, I think we're ready for the next slide.
All right, and I'm just going to throw out that not knowing anything is pretty much a hallmark. Don't let that concern you. We have a lot of that going on.
Oh yeah, no. If it concerned me, it's my 4th semester here. I have if it concerned me, oh my goodness, we would not be here. But so, on that note, mentors. I can speak to this because I was a mentor for 2 semesters, and it's a great time. As it says, mentors are the lifeblood of RCOS. It's a student-led class. We've got coordinators, which are me and everyone else who presented, and mentors help us and help they also have a leadership role in the class. You can read, so I'm probably not going to go way too into details reading every bullet off for you. But being a mentor comes with a lot of perks. It's a great leadership opportunity. It's a great way to get more involved with RCOS, if even more than just being a developer or a project lead. You can have a little bit of power. You get to meet at least once a week with everybody and talk to Wes Turner and the rest of us and figure out the game plan for how the course is actually going to go. Definitely can vouch for that last bullet point, be cool. But it also comes with some responsibilities. You have to look after some projects. You check in with them every week. How are you doing, guys? Are you stuck in your development? No? Yes? Answer any questions there. Help grade some projects. So you'll get to be familiar with the grading side of Submittee if you've never seen that before. That second to last bullet, help maintain the freedom and culture of RCOS and encourage open source contribution. That one's big. It's really just about the upkeep of the community, and that's the most important part of RCOS is the spirit of open source. Keeps us all excited about writing code for our various projects. Yeah, and have fun. Being a mentor is fun. Highly recommend it. Good for the next slide. On that note, I know you can reach out to me or any of the other coordinators with any questions you have, but the handbook is also an incredible resource. I meant to copy the link, not the actual text from the slide.
No, I copied. I clicked on the link.
Oh no, I was trying to send it to everyone so that they had the link so that they could bookmark it for later. So it's a great place to go with any questions. Most of the time, a lot of those answers will be there. Frank updated it, and it's very robust now.
So yes, this is Alice's first week as coordinator, and she is doing a very good job. It is every other coordinator's job to help and support her, and it is my job to confuse everything for her. So yes, the first step to joining RCOS is to register on SIS. This is the official route for taking RCOS for credit. If you do not want or do not need to or cannot take RCOS for credit, then you can take it for experience, and you will not need to satisfy any of the credit requirements, such as status updates or commit summaries or workshops or otherwise. How long can we wait until we can no longer register? Good question.
The ad deadline should be the end of next week. Typically, it's 2 weeks at the start of the semester.
Yes, there's your answer. Thank
The
you.
drop deadline is typically 8 weeks, however.
Thank you. Much appreciated. All right. So you can register on SIS with the following CRNs. For the 4 credit, it's 64904, and for 3 credits, it's 64902. It should be 903, but okay. Okay, let's see. Any chat questions?
3 to 4 credits are basically the same.
Yes. Can you take RCOS multiple times to fulfill multiple free electives? Yes. Is there any difference in RCOS if we're doing it for 4 credits versus some other number of credits? We may be a little bit more loose when grading if you're taking it for 3 credits versus 4 credits, but the experience will be similar and the grading will be very similar. Like we may or may not swing like half a letter in any case, but that it's all up to discretion and your progress during the semester. Let's see. Later in the semester, can we drop down from credit-based RCOS to no credit? Yes, that would just involve you dropping RCOS on SIS. Registering after teams are decided is pretty inconvenient for everybody. Yes, that is
So try to
correct.
register now.
Is that a question? That a statement? If it's a statement, the statement is correct. And also, is there a deadline to that? To drop down. Yes, that will be the official drop deadline. All right. And if you need to take RCOS for 1 to 2 credits because you are maxing out your credit limit, please contact Professor Turner. His email is turnew2@rpi.edu. And yes, on to the next slide. Thank you. And number 2, once you've registered on SIS, you will need to register on Telescope. You should, number 1, sign in with Discord, which if you don't already have, you should. As it is our main platform of communication. If any of the older generations remember Mattermost, that was our very old platform of communication. And we debated on using Slack, but decided against it. So now we are on Discord. So you register or sign in at that link. And then you want to, once you do that, you want to go to your user profile and link your RPI CAS account. All right, let's see. 1 credit.
And Bill, if you don't mind, I'm a quick interject.
Yes.
Most of you have already done something like this when you joined the Discord originally, where you logged in with CAS and such. A little mistake on our end. We might have lost many of those associations. So please, if everyone could do this, and we'll be able to tell kind of whoever's in the system or not, please go through these steps and just do this the official way to make sure that your Discord account is associated with your CAS account. Otherwise, when we try to automate stuff on the Discord to make it nice for you, it will not work. So please go through these steps. And if you have any issues, direct message me on Discord or email me. Look in the chat for my email.
So I'm gonna interject here too. It wasn't a mistake on our part. We decided that we needed thorough testing, so we decided to ask each one of you to go through and retest our software so as to make sure that.
Yes.
No, it was a mistake. But you can spin anything.
Yes. I blame this mistake on Frank, even though it wasn't his fault. That is what will usually happen during presentations. I will usually blame stuff on Frank, even though it's not his fault. Anyway, yes, Submitty uses Slack. This is true. I have 2 Telescope accounts for some reason, one that's associated with CAS and one that's associated with Discord. Okay, yes, Frank will help you out.
We added account deletion recently, so you can go ahead and get rid of one.
Yes, that is true too. All right, on to the next step. If nobody has any questions. All right. And once you finally linked your Discord and your RPI CAS, you can join the RCOS Discord. And on the right-hand side, you will see 4 channels, which are quite helpful. Number 1 is unnecessary, which is important RCOS announcements. You will need to be paying attention to that at all times. Spring 2022, general semester discussion. You do not need to be paying attention to that at all times, but it is good to occasionally check it. The more important information about dates and deadlines will all be in announcements. So slides will be where we post the, oh, we are getting very many telescope errors. Uh-oh.
I'm writing down the names. Don't worry. Archive.
Okay. Frank is handling them. I will continue. Slides is where we post our slides. So today's PowerPoint is brought to you by RCOS, sponsored by Professor Turner and RPI, and they will be posted in the slides channel. And the last one is help-esque. I think somebody missed the D there, which is quite unfortunate. But yes, that help desk is where you'll find all answers to your questions. So if you have any questions about open source, development, coding, feel free to ask in the help desk. And it is not only the mentors who can answer questions. Often you will find other students who will answer your questions as well, which is a great part of the culture of RCOS. All right, on to the next. Yes, so unfortunately, due to the nature of RPI policy, our first few RCOS meetings will be remote, which is quite unfortunate, as you could not see my dress up in person today or on Friday, which is probably the worst part about all this. But yes, all of our RCOS meetings will be in Professor Turner's room until otherwise noted. And it will be on WebEx. Yes. So that will be today, Friday, and then all of next week as well. And then once the semester gets going, which means basically after project pairing, which we will talk about in the next slide, I believe. See? Yes, in the next slide, but not, oh wait. Yes, once the semester actually starts, after project pairing, you will spend the RCOS schedule periods working with your team in a room you are assigned to. And in this room, there will be other projects as well, hopefully, if Open Circuits doesn't max out the capacity again. And attendance will be taken at the end of every meeting for your traditional meeting small group periods, as we usually call them small group meetings. Yes. All right. On to the next.
All right. Next slide is a keyword, Bill. You got to be careful.
Yes, I will remember that. Sorry.
No problem. So this is kind of the anatomy of the semester. It's good to get a feel for what's actually going on. Right now, we're in the first couple of weeks. This is the initial project selection or project definition. This is where we give you background on RCOS, where we talk about projects that are going to be available, where you guys talk about projects you want to do, projects you want to be available, and where we kind of do a project pairing dance to get everybody who wants to work on a project and all the projects, as many of the projects as possible that need people hooked up with the appropriate people. And this is going to run, I think we've delayed it a little bit this semester. We're going to push it out. We generally would try to get this done by the end of next week, but we're going to push it out a little bit further just so that we can do our project pairing, hopefully in person with all of you. So we'll push it out one extra class period. After we get everybody on projects, we actually start executing on the project. This is kind of like normal time. Work on your projects, make your contributions. We expect that during this period, and actually through the end of April, that you will be contributing a couple of at least one or two contributions a week. Hopefully 3 or 4 contributions for a week. If you really want, to push for that solid grade, 3 or 4 contributions for weeks, starting about a couple weeks after normal time begins. It's not that hard. You don't have to do a lot. You don't have to have perfect code before you start contributing. You can maintain it on a branch on your own private system. You don't have to contaminate the main repository. And the coordinators and myself and Professor Kuzman and all the rest of us, if you are having problems figuring out how to do that, please contact us. There are a lot of things that you can contribute. It doesn't have to be code. Even if you're in a learning mode, we expect you to be finding ways to contribute, and we can help you do that. That's the easiest way to get a good grade in this class, is just to start contributing right there at the start of the normal time and contribute right through till the end, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, hopefully 3 or 4, but at least a couple of contributions per week of at least moderate size, okay? So, and again, it doesn't have to be all code. Once we get through about the middle of March, we're getting into wrap-up period. Wrap-up period, you can continue working on your projects. In fact, you're encouraged to continue working on your projects, but we're also going to want you to prepare a summary, and you'll be summarizing both your contributions and your project. You'll give us a presentation, an oral presentation during class periods. We'll give every project some amount of time depending on the size of the project. Demonstrate that to us, and then you will tell us all of the contributions you made so we can go in and, see the effort that you've put in. Again, don't wait till the wrap-up period to ask us to say, I'm concerned about my contributions. Come talk to us early. And we can kind of help you along on that. I talked about grading. Here's the big bull in the china shop there. Open source contributions are 50% of your grade. So if you don't start early and you try to start late, you have to make up 12 weeks worth of contributions in that last week or two. And that's really hard. So please think about starting early. Please just start contributing a little bit at a time. If you get into a habit of making contributions and working on RCOS, a few hours a week, accomplishing something, however small, and pushing it out there, you won't have any problems. If you wait until March to start trying to contribute, it's really hard to catch up. And again, if you think you're in a learning mode or you don't know how you would contribute or any of those problems that happen, please come and talk to us. We have people, we've done this before. If you talk to us early enough, we can help you plot a path through whatever difficulties you're having. If you don't talk to us early enough, then sometimes there's not a whole lot we can do. We can give you strategies for, maintaining the community. We can give you strategies for turning tutorials into, code, or turning tutorials into documents, installation guides, and things like that. That can be very useful to a project. Code is actually the easiest thing to do on a project once you know how to code. Maintaining the testing, maintaining the infrastructure, maintaining the community are all significantly harder and are often neglected. Status updates and project documentation. After we get past that initial period of the course, we're going to ask you to give us status updates and tell us what you're doing on your project. If you've done an internship and they've done agile development, what we're actually asking you to do is essentially a written stand-up meeting. We want to know what you did this week. We want to know what your plans are for next week. We want to know if there are any blockers. And if you've made any contributions, any commits to an open source repository, or opened issues, or commented on pull requests, done any of that, we want you to note that with specific links. And that becomes your status update. And it's a record of what you've done in the semester, so it's to help us encourage you to keep contributing, right? We don't want you going a lot of time without making contributions, but it's also a way for you to do a retrospective at the end of your semester when you're trying to gather together all of the things you did so that you can get a good grade. This is your retrospective. You can trace back through it and see what you did and find all of the stuff you committed. Final presentation, it's a group presentation. We expect everyone to take some part in it. That's worth 15% of your grade. And then attendance, we do drop a few attendances, basically just showing up and being here. We drop, I believe, 2 attendances during the semester, and we have a requirement to attend at least one workshop, which is, a Git workshop or a project management workshop or a Reveal JS workshop. The mentors and the coordinators will be offering these throughout the semester. You need to attend one. If you miss more than 2 attendances, you can actually make up an additional 2 attendances by attending bonus sessions as well. So, so kind of keep that in mind, that attending these workshops can kind of buffer you against days or weeks when you actually are not able to show up at class. All of this is laid out in the handbook, along with rubrics that say how to excel and how to do moderately well, etc. Check out the handbook. We've been working on it, or Frank's been working on it, just to make sure that we have this all set up correctly and that you guys have the information you need.
Okay, thank you. Just to add on to that, we know that we're throwing a lot of information at you if you're new to RCOS. All of this is documented in the handbook. And these first few meetings, which are remote, we are going to be reminding you of all these details as we go along. So this won't be the only time that you see that grading rubric. This won't be the only time you hear about status updates and workshops and all of that. But don't worry if you didn't catch everything. To start, again, these slides are posted in the slides channel on the Discord, if you manage to get in. And on that note, here is a little overview of what, as of right now, the plan is for the next few meetings. So if you've been in RCOS before, we're kind of throwing in an extra meeting to kind of push project pairing back so that it is hopefully in person, because that's a super fun, super exciting, probably one of the most exciting meetings of the semester. So trying to get that to be in person, right, by adding in an extra meeting on this Friday, where we're going to have a sort of install fest, intro to Git, kind of intro to all the development tools that you're going to use, that you probably will use for your projects in RCOS, almost sort of like a little orientation. Then something old but new, we are going to have a project workshop, or we call it maybe a build a project workshop on Saturday, a little session for anyone who wants to be a project lead this semester. It's not required. It's optional for anyone. If you're interested in hosting a project, you're not sure if you want to, we're not going to force you. If you've been a project lead for a while now, you won't have to attend that. And we'll have more details on what that's going to have next meeting. But then we're going to have 2 meetings of project pitches, and that's where project leads turn on their video, I guess, and speak for 30, 60 seconds about their project, pitch it to the whole RCOS community if they are interested in that. Again, we'll have more details on this next meeting. And then hopefully we have project pairing in person. If not, we are prepared to do it online, but that will be when we actually form teams where everyone gets to talk with the different project leads, talk about their projects, run around, talk to different projects, and figure out where they want to be, and agree with whatever project lead to join the team. So that's a little overview of what we plan, and keep an eye on the Discord for announcements, especially the announcements channel, as we mentioned. That's where we will message if there are any changes to these meetings or the agenda or anything like that. Next slide. Don't leave yet, but that brings us to the finish of all the content that we will cover in today's slides, unless you're interested in being a mentor, so please do not leave the meeting yet. We just threw a lot at you, so if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat right now, or use the help desk or help-esque channel on Discord, or direct message coordinators, faculty advisors, any of us, if you ever have any questions whatsoever. We're open source community, very open. No one's gonna make fun of you for not knowing things, whether it be technical things or RCOS related things. So please feel free to reach out, whether it be direct message or in that channel. But that's that. These slides are posted in the slides channel. And I'll just quickly go through a question I see. Is there a specific number of contributions that we need? Contributors we need to have a project be officialized? No, you can do solo projects. We encourage team projects, but you can do definitely solo projects. That's definitely a common thing. And for how to join a project, that's what we'll spend the next few meetings doing. So stay tuned. Come to all of the next meetings, again, Tuesdays and Fridays at 4. And one last question I'll answer before we kind of shift into, I guess, mentor training for those who are interested is, as a beginner who hasn't really worked on projects before, should I still take RCOS for credit? I would say probably yeah. There are a lot of projects that are very beginner friendly. If any project leads are here that are very beginner friendly, drop in the chat. Many project leads take the time to kind of provide resources for learning and getting you up to speed on their project. It's definitely, if you have some programming experience, it might be easier to get in than, or to get started than if you don't have any programming experience. But you can always start with doing it for credit, and then if you go, oh, this is too much, then you can drop the class and just continue for experience. So, yes, and you can do this as a freshman.
I'm going to jump in on this a little bit, Frank, if you don't mind.
Definitely.
You know, the one thing that you need to be able to do is you need to be comfortable working on your own. We offer a lot of help, but we only help people who come to us and let us know, right? If you're going to not ask for help or not accept it when offered, and you're going to get and you're not comfortable, you know, working and learning, you know, this is self-taught, a lot of the material in here. We can't possibly teach all of the different topics that you guys cover in a typical semester. There's just too many of you, too many topics, and not enough faculty in the entire department, I don't think. You know, so more than a technical background, you need to have that ability or desire to dig into the stuff and ask questions and reach out for help. I think that will help you a lot more than it would be a lot more useful than necessarily the technical stuff, just the technical stuff. It becomes easier as you know more. If you don't know a lot, you need to be willing to reach out. All right, does that make sense, Frank?
That makes perfect sense. That's a great note. And just a question for you, Professor. If the sections that people desired, either the 3 or 4 are full, are those arbitrary limits? Or are you able to sign someone into the full 3 credit section, or vice versa?
Yeah, we can, it all comes into the same group. So, we divide it up about the way we think it should be divided up. But we can get you into, if you're in the 4 credit section and you want to get in the 3 credit section, we can make that happen. Or I can sign you in directly. It's not an issue.
Gotcha. So if anyone's in that boat, feel free to reach out to Professor Turner or one of us, and we'll pass it along. But in terms of the grading differences, they are pretty minimal. We definitely recommend 4 credits. But yeah, generally, RCOS grading is not very harsh. It's not.
We do want to see consistent contributions, though. So
that's what we look
keep
for.
that in mind. We will harp on it all semester.
Yes. And we have a variety of means of making sure you're consistently working. But one of the things to kind of highlight again in what we grade on, we don't grade on the success of your project. We don't look at your goals that you had at the start of the semester and see if you reached them and dock points if you didn't. If your project crashes and burns and you restart it or change projects, but you've done open source work throughout the whole semester, you get an A for that section at least. You got to attend and do the status updates and so on, but we're not grading you based on the success of your project. So feel free to really experiment with the projects you work on. We're really looking for consistent contributions, consistent quality of contributions. And that looks slightly differently for different people. Your experience level, we take that in. And that's why we ask you with status updates on a weekly basis, kind of where you're at, what you're struggling with. Which again, we will be giving you more detail on in the meetings to come, because that's a few weeks off. So before we say goodbye to everyone who's not interested in mentoring, again, reach out to us, email, Discord, server, or DMs if you have questions. Try to get into Telescope in the Discord if you're not. Contact us if you can't. I have 6 names written down for people who had Telescope problems. I will contact you some way. Check your email or your Discord. And next slide just mentions attendance, which we won't be taking until we kind of have teams setup and such. What I'd like to say right now, welcome. Welcome everyone, again, old and new. We're gonna have a great semester, whether it's online for a bit, for the whole time, or for not long. Looking forward to it. Thank you for coming.
Although I may go nuts if it's online all semester.
Me too. Oh, I'll go crazy. My last semester at RCOS. But, so again, if you're a mentor, or if you're interested in mentoring, if you've mentored before, stick around, and if you want to mentor again. If you're interested in mentoring for the first time, you've been RCOS for a few semesters and you want to give back, mentoring is not that hard. You don't have to be super experienced technically wise to mentor. Stick around. We're going to briefly go through all the responsibilities and requirements of being a mentor, since we haven't made it super well laid out in the past. And then we will open up the mentor form for applications. So if you're not interested in being a mentor, you're free to go. Again, we're not taking attendance yet. Thank you for coming. And in a few minutes, we'll pivot into mentor training. Anything I'm missing, Professor, or other coordinators?
Just, it doesn't hurt you to sit for another 45 minutes and hear the mentor spiel.
Yeah. If you're,
I think the mentors only meetings is where you get to have. When you become a mentor, you get to have fun. As I did during this meeting. I think this meeting was a lot of fun for me, and I hope I made it a lot of fun for everyone else. And I think that is one of the best parts of being a mentor. So yes, if you would like to have fun, I think this is a great time to learn about how being a mentor works. Did somebody pin my video?
Somebody did.
Oh, okay. That's very good.
we gotta put together a montage at the end of the semester. Yeah, just make sure Bill's featured in it. There we go.
I like his pose with the umbrella on his sheet too. He looks just like a Kingsman or something. If you're having problems, Evan, the 4 credit shouldn't be giving you status closed. Does anybody have the CRN available for
Yes.
the 4 credit course? That one shouldn't. Go ahead.
04. It's in the chat now.
Okay, 64904.
Yes. Kitty, you have food. Eat your food.
That shouldn't be giving you a status closed. If you still have problems, DM me.
Last search spring.
Let me
Let
me look at that. There were a few. If anybody has to talk to me, also DM me. We can go into a breakout room if we need to. Otherwise, hopefully, this explained most of what your questions were.
No, it's full.
It's full.
Yeah.
What the heck happened?
There's so many people interested in RCOS.
Usually online semesters are anemic.
Yeah. Well, let me see where we're at on this.
We already have 145 people. We're gonna be so busy. We need a lot of mentors.
RPI is just trying to kill me.
Well, good thing then we're trying to get more mentors.
I think Kate is acting quite surprised about how many enrollments we have in RCOS this semester. But I think
We had less in the fall.
I think from last semester, the amount of fun that we had has truly benefited the amount of people interested in RCOS.
That must be it.
Yes, of course.
What I'll do so that we don't keep everyone waiting,
Yeah, please.
I will share my screen. I don't know if that will mess anything up.
No, go ahead. I think I even allow that. I'm just trying to look at the class to see what I want to make a recommendation on what to do, but I need to actually look at the class to see what's going on.
Now, is my screen visible for everyone, or is it still showing professors? Someone give me a thumbs up or something.
I can't speak for everyone, but your screen is visible to me.
Yeah, it's got the three of them. Now it's just the one.
Oh, I see the chat in the corner now. That's in a terrible spot. Let's open up the chat so I can. Okay. I'll have the chat open. What I'm going to do, we coordinators spent some time talking about kind of the mentor responsibilities. We made some updates, and we're going to go through this document. It looks long. It's really not too long. We're going to go through this step by step and open up to questions. So again, feel free to stay here. Whether or not you're interested in being a mentor, maybe you just want a peek behind the scenes. We're open source.
Okay, can I step in for just a second, Frank?
Certainly.
4 credits looks like it's full. 3 credits is not full. So what I'm going to recommend is, if you can't get into the 4 credit, it doesn't matter to us. The class size is the class size. You know, we can. This is a bookkeeping thing. For right now, please log into the 3 credit course. And once we know what our, and then send me DM me, and once we get everybody kind of set up, I will ask David, or I will either, if I can figure out how to do it, I'll transfer you into the 4 credit course. If not, I'll ask David to do it. But for right now, let's get you in the course so you get all the announcements and so that we know what our enrollment actually is. But there are plenty of seats in the 3 credit course.
Great. And we'll make an announcement on the server. If one of the coordinators can do that right now.
Yeah,
Just
thank you.
If you can't get into the 4 credit, register for the 3, and then we'll figure it out.
Yep.
Great.
I'm on it.
In that case, mentors. So we put together just a really short list of the actual responsibilities in short form at the very top, if you want to read this whole thing. And in brief, when you're a mentor in RCOS, right, you apply, and we look for someone who has been in RCOS for a few semesters. Maybe it's been a short amount of semesters and you've really stood out as someone who really cares. Maybe you've been a project lead. Maybe you've just been very vocal and helpful to your peers. Or you've been in RCOS forever and want to give back, right? What the responsibilities are attending and participating in mentor meetings. Typically, these are every other week, though we're going to ask you're free at least that time every week in case we have to have more frequent meetings. We also ask you to grade status updates weekly, mid-year reviews, and final reviews once, which is as the name implies, and check in with each project in your small group, which we'll touch on what small groups are in a second, weekly. So this is something in the past we haven't explicitly stated, but especially when we're remote for an indeterminate amount of time, we need to make sure that mentors, you know all the projects that you are assigned to, and you have a general idea of who everyone is and their experience levels, how they're doing, who's blocked on this. Is this person new, and are they still in a learning stage? Is this person, super, super productive and doing well? Is that person a Rust person? Maybe you could direct them to the student who needs Rust help, things like that. We also require mentors just host at least one workshop. So if you've been in RCOS in the past, right, you've seen those workshops that mentors host, everything from music-based software, open source software, to interesting math stuff, to the basics like intro to Git and the super important topics like that, or deep dives into languages, or project leads doing a deep dive into their project. So if your mentor require you to host at least one of those, but it's up to you what topic you do it on, which is great. And last but not least, pointing mentees to resources and people when blocked. So mentors are not required to be full stack engineers that know everything. They could debate the pros and cons of Mongo over Postgres. No, we don't care about that. There are those people in RCOS, and generally, you're just asked to be able to point people in the right direction. So have an idea of what you know, your limits, and maybe know what the other mentors, right? Just be open to asking other mentors what they know. Or if you have a mentee who says, right, I need to host a database somewhere for free. Maybe they'll know. It's your job to point them to someone who might know. Now, you might not know. So it's your job to ask the other mentors or ask the coordinators, hey, who might I be able to point to? Stuff like that. Pretty straightforward. And yes, Bill, these probably should be checked. These are empty checkboxes.
Yes, I agree.
Well, you can open the pull request for that because this handbook itself is open source. Wow.
That is correct. That is correct. Very good, Frank.
Look
for
at that.
pointing that out.
In fact, if anyone sees typos or even content that doesn't match with what we say in meetings, it's no one's responsibility to, but feel free to just open up pull requests on the RCOS handbook repository and give back. That would count during the semester as contributions, as Hunter just said. Look at that. We're in sync. So to kind of step through this more, and feel free to drop questions as we go, RCOS really can't function without mentors. Us coordinators, we put the Google Slides together, and that's important. And we try to keep things together. Usually we're hanging by a thread. But mentors are like kind of the boots on the ground. They're the first line of defense. They're the people who hold the small groups together, and that's extremely important. Without that, coordinators and the faculty advisors couldn't manage 200 students every semester, right? So we're not just asking for people to do our dirty work, our grading for us. Mentors are the people who students and projects interact with the most for the majority of the semester. So we're not trying to, pull one on you. As I mentioned, if you become a mentor, this is the time that we expect you to commit to. Obviously, there's the normal RCOS meetings, which are Tuesdays and Fridays, as of course you know, and hosting at least one workshop. This should be 30 minutes to an hour. Usually it's on Wednesdays, but we're super flexible with that. Hopefully that can be in person later in the semester. And basically, mentors have impact throughout the whole semester. They're always doing something. In the first 2 weeks when we coordinators and faculty advisors are trying to set everything up, we're going to start asking mentors to help with some of that process. A little less so this semester where the setup process is online. But when we do project pairing, if we have mentors assigned by then, you'll be the ones kind of helping point people in the right direction and so on. But where you really shine is during the middle of the semester, where you are assigned a small group of a handful of projects, usually alongside another mentor, in a particular room, usually in Sage, sometimes in other buildings. And that small group becomes your responsibility. You and your other mentors. Sometimes it's just you and maybe a coordinator. Sometimes it's 2 mentors and a coordinator, depending on, of course, how many mentors and coordinators and students we have. They become your mentees, and you become the first person that they reach out to when they need help, either in technical help or RCOS help. They're also the ones who you keep up to date with by communicating with every week and grading updates for. So I'm sure if you're interested in being a mentor, you know about status updates. So you're the one who would be grading those status updates. And as Alice put, great comment, even when you're very proactive on top of your responsibilities, it's not a very large time commitment. Yeah, it's really not. I mean, right, like tally this up. We do this once every other week. We keep it under an hour. It's usually now we're doing it during the second half of small group meetings even, so it's not even like, sometimes it's not even an extra meeting. The workshop is one time in the semester. It takes 5 minutes to go through 20 status updates. Really is not a large time commitment at all. And the impact you have is really, really outsized compared to the time commitment you put in. When you manage a small group, all you gotta do is, when those meetings start, welcome everyone, present the meeting slides that the coordinators and faculty advisors prepared for you, and then check up on your projects. And there are a couple ways you can do that. You can do a stand-up. If you have a small group, you can literally have everyone stand up, like Scrum style. Everyone goes down the line and says what their progress was for the week, plans for next week, and any technical blockers. And kind of rapid style, everyone out loud says that. That might not work if you have 30 mentees in your small group, so it's up to you. But the point here is, when you're given a small group, it's up to you. You determine the atmosphere and the culture and the personality of your small group. Some small groups are quiet and focused, and then some are chaotic and loud. Some are in the middle, some are on the extremes of that. It's really up to you. All we require, of course, is that you present the slides, you're open and friendly to everyone, and you check in on every project at least once a week, right? We have 2 meetings per week. You need to check in on every project at least once a week. Check in half of your projects on Tuesday, check in on the other half on Friday every week, and you're good. And I probably should have mentioned this at the start. This is obviously all in the handbook, which is public. If you just go to handbook.arcos.io, you'll see it on the side, everything we're talking about here. Grading is not much more detailed than what I just said. Sometimes we'll ask you to grade stuff on Submiti. We ask that you do it sooner rather than later, especially status updates, which are outdated after a few days. So when we ask you to grade things, just take the 10 minutes it takes to go through and grade them. We give mentors access to Submiti early in the semester, and we assign you to the group that you're with, and so on. These are the things that we will ask you to grade. Project proposals, still figuring out whether we'll do that this semester, asking you to grade them. Probably will. That's once at the very start. Status updates are for each person in your small group weekly. Mid-year review is for each person in your small group once in the middle of the semester. Same for the final review at the end of the semester. And final presentations, which we ask everyone to grade at the end of the semester. But we really love it when mentors grade yours, because it's a great time. You're watching your small group projects present. You get to kind of see how far they've come. And the last thing that we ask you to do is take attendance. So as you saw, attendance it's a part of the grade. It's an important part. At the end of small group meetings, typically we use Venue. You're going to show a QR code that we give you. People will scan it. We'll give you more details on what that looks like as we get closer to small groups. But we ask that you be on top of this, because we have had in the past people share attendance codes or attendance QR codes and so on. Or, you're a mentor and you want to leave after an hour, so you give the attendance code out after an hour as opposed to like an hour and a half, right? So we ask that if you're a mentor, you aren't giving out the attendance code in an unreasonably short amount of time, and that you are on top of whether people are lying about attendance. If you see that there's a name that keeps showing up as attended that is not there, bring it up to us, bring it up to the coordinators. That has happened in the past. And in general, we ask that you just familiarize yourself with the code of conduct that RCOS has. It's pretty in-depth, but you can imagine what it's going to say. Be nice, be friendly, don't insult people, don't make people uncomfortable. I can't think of a time really where there have been any violations of this in my 4 years. But we want to make RCOS an open, inclusive, and welcoming community for everyone. And mentors are kind of the first people who would see whether this is being violated in the small groups, which is where the majority of the semester takes place. So
Frank, there is a question in the chat. Do you want to answer? Or
Thank you. So we won't be a bit random, but we won't be using Venue this semester. We will probably be using Venue. I guess we coordinators. I don't know if we really talked about it yet, but I don't think there's any reason we wouldn't be using Venue.
Yeah, I don't remember saying either way. We should probably figure that out though.
I think Venue may have a new version that is also spelled differently, so we may or may not be switching to that, whether or not it is production ready. So
yes, we might be using Venue as opposed to Venue. you know,
Yeah, I will spell it the new way.
as opposed to venue.
Yeah. Hold on, let me spell the new.
Leviosa, not Leviosa.
Exactly.
Exactly. TBD, basically.
That will probably be the case. We'll try to consolidate. In the past, we haven't been super on top of how attendance is handled altogether. Like for hosting a workshop, is that through venue, or do you just have to write down the names? We'll really try to standardize it, ideally with just one of the venues. The problem comes in when it's like we just need to then export it from venue and also put it in submittee. So we'll do our best to standardize it, but we will be clear and we will document it for all mentors. And this also brings me to the next thing. Much of this mentor training is new and was typed out at like 3 a.m. by me during winter break. So it's probably missing a bunch of stuff. If in the course of you, any of you mentoring this semester, and you go, this thing I was asked to do, or this thing that I am doing and I think makes a good mentor is not in this documentation, add it. Open up a pull request. Or easier, not feeling like it, just DM one of the coordinators and we'll do it. We'll add it. But we really want this to be kind of a really good, well-defined resource to point mentors to for when you have a question for what to do. And also to make sure that we're not tricking you and not giving a good idea of what the responsibilities and requirements are for you. So that would be great. So in summary, to be a good mentor, help all of your small group mentees reach their goals. Get to know who you're working with, and make friends with we're not asking you to become best friends with every single person, but get to know the people in your group. Get to know names and faces, and who's on what project, what each project is about, the technologies, the goals for each project, and so on. Right. That also helps your mentees feel like they can reach out to you when they have questions. Grade in a timely manner, and contribute to RCOS as a whole. When there's something that you don't like how it's run, let us know. Share your ideas for things to change or improve on, whether it be through pull requests or just talking in the mentors channel on Discord, which we give all mentors access to. And as a mentor, you should just know the grading rubric, which is in the handbook. Very detailed, probably a little too detailed. So make sure you're just familiar with the percentages. You don't have to memorize these. I don't know why you would. Just always point your mentees to here. And where to point people. And generally what resources are in this handbook. Just point people to the handbook all the time. And if they say my answer or the question that I'm looking for is not in the handbook, that's even better, because then we can add it to the handbook.
I would like to point out that there is a very big difference between being an undergraduate mentor for any other computer science class and being a mentor at RCOS. And that is that as opposed to being an undergraduate mentor for other classes, you get to have fun as an RCOS mentor, which is, I think, one of the biggest perks of being a mentor at RCOS, as you
It's
clearly
also a
saw
lot
today.
easier.
Yes. Yeah, kind of on the note, if you are, I don't know, looks like I did not include it here. I think I was, oops, let's switch to here then. When you are a mentor, so again, the process, in the past, we've been very, very flexible. If someone applies to be a mentor, we're like, yeah, you're in. Since we're remote for part of this semester, and we don't know how long, there's a lot more just uncertainty, we are going to be just more particular. So we're going to have everyone apply, and we're just going to make sure to accept the right number of people and so on. So we're just taking the application process a little more seriously this time around. But one of the great perks of being a mentor is that while it's not a huge commitment, it is still a commitment, and you're helping us a lot. So as a result, when we actually grade you, presumably you're doing RCOS for credit. I guess you could be a mentor for experience, but we ask that you would do it for credit, because if you're doing it for experience, then we can't obligate you to fulfill your duties, and that would stink for your small group. So if you're doing ARCOS for credit, presumably, in your mentoring, we look at, or we're a lot more lenient with your ARCOS grade, right? Because we factor in all the time and effort and energy you put into mentoring. So your expectations for contributions are lessened, for example. Less so on the attendance side, because it doesn't really change your attendance. But you can focus a lot of your time mentoring. You will factor that into your grade. We really, really, really do appreciate the time and energy that mentors put in. And we reflect that in the grades. You can trust us. But we're also on top of our mentors, so it's not a free A.
Yeah. So one thing that I'm going to throw in here, there's a four stages of success for engineers. You'll see this written up in a couple of different places, and there's all different ways of saying this. But when you start out, the idea is that you're a net sink. You don't produce much, and you absorb a lot of people's time as you're getting going. You move into from that stage. You move into the stage where you're competent. You can get your jobs done correctly by yourself, largely by yourself, and well. And that's kind of where we want our students being at the end of this semester, the general ARCO students. As you get into the third and fourth stages, the third stage is you actually become a force multiplier. You'll see kind of U.S. Army ads that talk about force multipliers. Third stage is a force multiplier in a local group, and that's really what we're looking for from you guys. I'm not sure that I like the saying that the grading is lax. The grading is different. We expect you guys to be out there. It's from the standpoint of the syllabus, it's lax. But from the standpoint of what we're expecting from you guys is we're expecting you to be the stage 3 contributors. Your own contributions are going to suffer, but you're going to be a force multiplier by giving up half of your output. You're going to allow 8 other people or 10 other people to do twice as much. So, so you're going to be, rather than a neutral or a net sink, you're going to be a net source. And that's really why we can do that. It's a real benefit to the community to have people who are in there making sure that the community is running well and know where to reference people and are out there willing to give up a little bit of the fun of making contributions for the fun of allowing other people to make contributions. This is, and then by the way, stage 4 is where you're actually making a contribution that not only impacts the local group, but that impacts the global corporation or global entity. So you're kind of like a source for sources. So this is like well grounded in management theory and things like that. At least, if not well grounded, we can justify it under that. We do think that you guys are very valuable and provide a valuable service, and our goal is to have you guys be part of the infrastructure that helps everybody else do good work. And sometimes that's just knowing where to reference, where to push people, or who to refer them to. All right. Yep.
Certainly, that's a great comment. Thank you, Professor. Yeah, it's definitely just different kind of grading, and it really is great. One of my greatest ARCOS memories back in the before times was the end of the semester going in a snowstorm with some mentees and getting Dunkin' Donuts. Box of 2 dozen Dunkin' Donuts, missing the Dunkin' Donuts somehow, walking like blocks and blocks past it, almost missing the meeting. A lot of good times.
Good times. Good times.
Definitely get to know your group. They're great folks. So on that note, I just want to make sure we have the right link in the slides. Just a quick check.
Can you shorten it?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll make sure that it is the right link that we have here. Yes, it is. So in the slides for today, and we're going to post the direct link to this in the, let's say, the spring 2022 channel. The mentor application is just a Google form where we ask you your name, your email address. Please don't give us your RIN. Someone always gives us their RIN. So I tried making it as explicit as possible. It's got to be an rpi.edu email address. There's no numbers. There could be numbers, but it's not all numbers. Your majors, how many semesters you've been in RCOS before, cohort, and just why. This is an optional question. We don't want to make you feel like you need to know a gazillion things to be a mentor. You don't. It's more important that you just meet the requirements, and the requirements aren't being a tech wizard. So if you want, just give us an idea of some technologies, languages, things that you're comfortable with. Just separate them with commas so we can easily read it. And we'll take that into account as well when we pair you up with groups in small groups. And then we just ask that, right? You can all say yes because you've seen these requirements in the handbook. So if you are interested in being a mentor, which we really, really would appreciate if you were, please do apply using this form. So again, this is in the last slide, which is posted in the slides channel, and we'll post this link in just a moment. If one of the coordinators can just post this link, it's from the last slide, so you can grab it from there, post it somewhere in the announcements channel or the spring 2022 channel. And yeah, so if you're here and you are interested in mentoring, maybe you have before, maybe you haven't yet, please do fill this out as soon as you can. We're reviewing them as they come in. We ideally want the mentors to be settled as we're moving into project pitching and project pairing, especially because right after project pairing, we figure out what projects there are, what mentors there are, match them all up into small groups, and then we have a fantastic semester, as long as we have enough mentors. So again, fill this out as soon as you can. If there are other RCOS people you know, maybe you've mentored before and you know some people in your small group who are in RCOS who you think would make great mentors, reach out to them. Ask them if they're interested. Point them to this form, and this gives them the direct link to the handbook. That's all they need. And we coordinators and faculty advisors, we recognize names of the people who stand out, the people we see active on the Discord and so on. So there's no, worst case scenarios, we say, we're not going to accept you this semester for, maybe you don't have enough experience yet, but it's not like we're going to yell at you if you apply. So apply. And that is all. Anything I'm missing from professor or other coordinators, any point that we should mention that I missed?
No, I think that's about it.
Again, this is just use this as your resource. We have the overview of the mentor page and then the specific training. We'll have mentor meetings more in the future. Not that big of a requirement. Different kind of grading. We really appreciate the work that mentors do, and it lets RCOS exist and flourish. And RCOS could not exist without it.
Cool.
That is all. Thank you all very much.
Yeah, I'm going to throw out one more thing. I am still looking for another mentor for CS 4470. So let me know. I can only take one more, but particularly if you know Linux, I can use some help. And you don't wear a helmet and goggles. That's probably not allowed.
That's a good point. I would never accept people.
Yes, I would assume that wearing a mask would be required for in-person anything at RPI.
Yeah, mask is going to be required. Mask is going to be nasty too. I think we need to actually do the big boys, the big masks.
Yeah. AN95.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, my ears.
Well,
all right. Just DM me or something, and if you're interested. Kate can't do it
class, so.
because she's in the class. You can't do it if you're in the class.
That's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate. All right. That's all I had, guys. Thanks.
Great. In that case, thank you again, everyone, for sticking around for an extra 40 minutes. Apply if you're interested. Reach out to people you think would be interested and you think would make good mentors. And we'll see you on Friday for the next.
Yeah, and it looks like we'll have a busy semester because
yes,
we are at 160 already. So maybe 170. So
Amazing. Very good.
We will need mentors.
will
This
need
is what we
mentors.
like to see.
yeah.
Great. Okay. Take care, everyone, in that case.
See you later.
Great rest of your nights.
Later. It's me.
That is you. I don't know
I
why.
don't like it.
It's not on freeze anymore, so it just is on free fall. We'll see you guys later.